Good morning, students. Today we're going to take the next step in quadratic equations and we're going to solve by factoring. Okay, the steps for that are, first we're going to set each equation equal to 0. Usually that step is done for us. In the later questions we'll have to do that by inverse operations. Step number 2 is what we were practicing in the last assignment. Factor the quadratic into binomials. That's the 2 set of parentheses. Okay. Step 3 is the new rule. It's called the zero product property. Basically, if you have two factors that multiply together to equal 0, then you can say that either the first factor or the second factor must equal 0. Okay, and then in step 4, you now have two equations, so you can solve both of them using inverse operations. Okay, let's take a look at the first example. X squared plus 5x plus 4 equals 0. The equation is already equal to 0, so we can begin by step 2, factoring it into binomials. Okay. The x squared can be broken up into x times x in the first position. We then look at the 4, and then we made a list of the numbers that multiply to 4. 1 and 4, 2 and 2. Okay, and then I make a choice of which ones will combine either by adding or subtracting to make the middle term. 1 plus 4 will give me 5. And after I put the correct sign in, 1x and 4x that are both positive would give me the 5x. So I successfully factored the equation. Step 3, take each of those factors and set them equal to 0. X plus 1 could equal 0, or x plus 4 can equal 0. Solve both of those equations with the inverse operation. When we're solving this one on the left, subtract 1 from both sides, and we get the solution of x equals -1. Or, in the second equation, x plus 4 equals 0. Inverse operation, subtract 4 from both sides, we get x equals -4. Here are our two solutions. X could be -1 or x could be -4. Example 2. We have a quadratic equation. It's already set equal to 0. Set of two binomials, just like you did on the last homework. Bring down that equals 0 for later. What multiplies to make x squared? X and x. Look at the 18 next. What multiplies to make 18? Let's make a list. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. I don't need to write the other ones, the reverse order, because they're both just being multiplied by 1, so the order will not matter. Okay, I'm looking at which one will combine to make a -9. 1 and 18 will not. 2 and 9 will not combine to a -9. But 3 and 6 combine to a 9. I can multiply and get a positive by having two positives or two negatives, and to add up to 2 and to add to a negative, I realize that both signs must be negative. Set each of those factors equal to 0 and solve using the inverse operation. X could equal 3 or x could equal +6. Okay, let's give this a shot. Set each one equal to 0, factor into binomials as you practiced the last lesson. Set each of those factors equal to 0 and solve using simple inverse operations.